Hi, welcome to XReality Podcast. I am the host, Dominic Wu, and beside me is the guest, Kim. Hi, Kim. Could you share a little bit about your background with us?
Sure, Dominique. I started my career at Microsoft as a systems engineer at Microsoft's Advanced Technology Group, and I had my office out of Tokyo, working on interactive television in the late '90s. So it's all about fulfilling Bill Gates' dream of having broadband on the internet. And now you can tell, see YouTube, and now all of media is streaming on the internet. So it was a wonderful journey just to be part of that.
Cool.
And then,
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I knew Cam through some working, and he was my manager. And I find out Cam was so super knowledgeable of like a leadership, management, AI, and healthcare. So yeah, so that's why I think it's a great opportunity for everybody, for us to learn more about like how can look at the healthcare, AI, and all those like relative questions. I think our episode will go really well and very interesting topic. Yeah.
No, I mean, I feel like I've come full circle, starting my career in video and video technology, streaming over the internet, and then having gone through and still in digital health, but then coming back to video is 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 quite interesting. You know how everything is kind of comes together.
Yeah, and as far as I know, Cam was like a full stack. Everything knows all the product from like design. I even saw you have design class and your work in design, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. And you are from engineer, and you also do like a manage people. And I think managing is not an easy thing because I think talking to computer is easier than talking to people. So I think you have the full understand of like the entire product, and also you also have a entrepreneurship understanding, like the entrepreneur, and especially you are based in Silicon Valley. So if you wanna share with us what's your insight for your journey, and also how you learn from different parts or different experiment in your life.
It's the technology is always the easy part. It's the people part that's always more fluid and dynamic. But
Yeah.
I truly enjoy, working with people and building out just transformative teams to build something that's incredible,
Yeah.
something that's bigger than all of us put together. So I really love that process. And I think that now is even more of an exciting time because we could do so much with so few people, and also the cost of delivery has become continues to go down. So all of these things where uh, we've conceptualized and thought that would take a long time to do is now you could literally turn around and create an MVP that really showcases the larger picture. So it's a really exciting time to be in product and to be in this space. Um, it seems like the merger of all these different technologies are coming to play in developing products. So it's a really interesting time. I think the only limiting factor is one's imagination.
Mm, the curiosity and one's imagination. I think the thirst of the truth, or like and how you can use the current technology to figure things out. For example, in today's news, Tim and I we discussed there was a new technology that by scanning the desert, they find out that underground of Dubai desert there was an ancient civilization. Without you send a team to dig and to do things, so they use the new AI technology to scan it was like more like a NASA's technology to understand the world. And also Dodge, right? There was a 19-year-old like a intern from I don't know SpaceX or
Mhm.
Tesla. He figured he invented an AI system to read the ancient script that nobody can read. So yeah, I mean, this is just a provocative era that it feels like AI can pretty much do a lot of things that we couldn't even imagine, or make a lot of novels like people who don't know things and suddenly owns super powerful tools. Yeah,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. So I
cool.
mean, I
Sorry.
see in the current space of healthcare delivery, um, you know, there is just tremendous transformation that's happening in healthcare from obviously the personal treatment of health, and it's really becoming much more of being able to measure preventative measures and how effective they are. Things like lifestyle factors where the value had been kind of elusive to many people. I think that with this new kind of generation of technology and being able to integrate everything into one's clinical health status is really quite incredible. Being able to correlate like how much one is active during the day from walking, all these unstructured activities, how they lead to one's overall health is truly amazing.
Yeah, and how do you see that AI? Because you mentioned that the AI start getting a lot of interesting data. And how do you see this kind of Gen AI or AI to suit, like, for example, wearables or like a device? And how can these types of new technologies, not really new, but how can this technology help the patient? Do you have any study case for the usage in healthcare?
I mean, remote patient monitoring. So the ability to actually do things that would require patients to come into the clinic
Mm,
versus just being able to accomplish many of these kind of routine clinical checkups or monitoring um, patients, whether it's heart health, uh, recovering from injuries, all these things that once required, coming into a clinic or hospital
mm,
is no longer necessary, which drastically reduces the cost of healthcare.
mm,
And now with, the advent of genomics and precision medicine, now algorithmically, we can look at different compounds and proteins. The whole field of proteomics has been changed. You cannot separate, um, you know, microbiology with computation anymore. It is, the field of bioscience,
mm.
and that has given rise to all sorts of possibilities from
Yeah.
driving, just innovation and literally cures. And when you think about COVID and the
Mm,
COVID vaccine,
mm,
all those technologies that made the COVID vaccine possible were innovations that were discovered
mm,
10, it, in less than 10 years. And
mm,
I could point to the fact that um, it was a combination of the CRISPR technology,
mm,
that was developed by Jane Doudna and another research fellow from Harvard
mm,
that is able to, you're able to go in and cut out a piece of literally cut out a piece of DNA, insert your own coding in it, and then, you know, change the behavior of cells, to create the spike protein, right? And then the advent of course, being able to manipulate mRNA and then use uh, you know um, liposomes, which are literally nanoparticles, and to be able to use that and CRISPR technology to reprogram cells to you know uh, to signal to the body, that this, to go after your own immune system, to go after, cells that are producing this spike protein. Uh, all of this has happened within, like, less than a 10-year period. And then all of a sudden having that be the critical set of technologies that made the COVID vaccine possible. And then having that implemented and actually saving millions of lives is
Mm,
incredible, right? Typically, these kinds of innovations in medicine take decades, multiple
mm,
decades. And now we're seeing that, like seminal discoveries in biology
mm.
being implemented in under 10 years, which is just astounding when one thinks about it.
Yeah. For example, like a deep mind, right? They are doing like a amino acids folding, and a lot of like universities, and they find out they also use AI to create some interesting vaccine using AI to accelerate those types of like findings. So I find out that wow, in the future maybe I don't know, like there won't be any cancer, or there will be personalized, like a food, or like a super designed, like a medicine for everybody to kind of prevent, or also like to know yourself better and to treat your like all the doctors or all the medicine will be so personalized.
Yeah, it is truly astounding. And it's a very exciting time to be at the um, inter interface, or the juncture between computation in biology and healthcare.
Mm.
Um, it is probably this is really exciting time to be in this space.
Wow. So, as for data strategy and management, how do you balance like data accessibility with governance and security, especially in high regulation industry like healthcare? We all know that, for example, like if we wanna help monitor a patient, there might be some data issues. How do you balance? And we all know that AI is powered or fed by data. So how can you, or like how do you think that this can, for example, like how do you balance the data accessibility with all the restrictions?
Well, it always comes down to, of course, the healthcare data is extremely sensitive, and ensuring compliance with regulations such as HIPAA or GDPR, and protecting patient information is paramount. But then, there's always this balance between, um, you know, the cost, the risk against the benefit. And I think I think COVID changed a lot of the opinions uh, that the benefit, it, is outweighing the risks involved. Right? There's no such thing as a unhackable system.
Yeah,
There's always a risk, just as every time, a patient has to go under surgery, there's a tremendous risk of complications.
yeah.
And so, applying, the latest health tech technology is, I don't think is any different. It's just that
Mm,
the benefits of being able to implement these systems and, just applying, the best practices and keeping everything secure,
mm,
uh, is enough that this is worth doing
mm,
and worth carrying out because, the cost of, reducing the cost of healthcare, benefiting the patient, providing the patient with a much better uh, care experience has become really paramount. And we this is really the only way we could address the care needs of an the growing aging population, right?
yeah.
There's only so many things that levers that we could pull and to make it possible and to make it affordable,
Mm,
and so all these technologies, from being able to provide remote care using computation to personalized medicine are now kind of deemed as necessities.
mm. Yeah,
So,
I totally agree.
right. So, there's this also the other side of things is, um, the trust and transparencies, setting expectations.
Mm,
There's going to none of these tools are perfect.
mm,
Just as you know, our the healthcare labor force and what doctors do. Um, there are risks and mistakes are made. It's just that just providing information and transparency at the level of due diligence that is being performed to make everything as safe as possible, um, to enable patients and society to reap the benefits of the upside of doing and implementing innovation in healthcare.
yeah, so I think for the transparency and data security is very, very important, especially deal with like a healthcare and medical innovation. And how do you align AI and ML initiates when overreaching business goal, particularly when stakeholders have conflict priorities? For example, like how do you utilize AI to within the business and helping assisting the leadership, and also how do you utilize AI to manage the group of people?
Well, I mean, so currently, I'm kind of immersed in the field of revenue cycle management, which up to this point is, it takes a fairly large and high skilled workforce to discern, what happens inside the clinic, from the physician notes, being able to label physician notes with insurance codes, uh, and to make sure everything is accurate. So then that could be turned into an insurance claim and then sent to the insurance company. So physicians and healthcare providers can be reimbursed for the work that they do. Um, this is really all about managing that interface between the technology, the professionals in that space, and being able to scale the complexity of being able to um, manage the finances that drive healthcare. So, uh, what I could say is that uh, there is this line of being able to automate things that are just fairly standard
Mm,
and routine,
mm,
which AI is perfectly suited to do. So that it frees up time for the more complex cases, uh, for the experts to take a look at those more complex cases and enable, um, to be able to solve the non-standard uh, non-standard circumstances, between what has been done in the clinic and how, and ensuring that the care of the patient is comprehensive and effective. I think that's pretty key. And then before this, a lot of many of the times, unfortunately, uh, in revenue cycle management, the staff gets overwhelmed, and they don't do a sufficient job of being able to maneuver very, very uh, complex cases. And who loses out is
Yeah.
is typically the patient, not being able to have a certain procedure, not being able to receive the care that they desperately need. And so making the process more efficient
Mm,
and smarter,
mm,
and enabling the professionals to do their best work. And you know there's a coined term of enabling people in healthcare to work at the top of their license,
mm.
right? Is what we enable. That's what the technology enables them to do.
Yeah, I think for the leadership for AI definitely can help out like a managed system, and also according to the data, people can understand, or manager can understand how the person perform, and also unblock that person, helping assisting the kind of reports, how they can keep like a high efficient to execute the project. I think AI really helps. And also, beyond automation, where do you see Gen AI create entirely new opportunity in the healthcare or business?
Right, right, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
cool. So, how can companies migrate risk like a bias or hallucination where deploying Gen AI in critical decision making process in both like a healthcare or business? What do you think?
Well, I think it's like developing the right frameworks, to manage patient consent, anonymizing the data, enabling the secure sharing of data across organization. We talk about ethical guidelines. It is important to have an ethical board, committees that continuously evaluate the risk benefit
Hmm.
between new initiatives in a technology versus how does it affect the patient, as the bottom line,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah,
of course, working into all of that, the cost. And
yeah.
but thankfully there has been a lot of work that has been done to enable like electronic healthcare system to become more operable,
Hmm.
interoperable, which is really important because patients move, healthcare providers move. So really forwarding the development of these data standards in healthcare, such as FHIR or HL7,
Hmm.
has been really important. And I've seen a lot of improvements over the past 10 years in these
Hmm.
in these protocols to make data sharing, data extraction much easier.
Hmm. Yeah. And as for data visualization and storytelling, I remember before I read news that like someone I forgot is Microsoft CEO. He mentioned that SaaS is dead. Pretty much AI agent, for example, like you can just give a comment, and the entire software will start executing the entire thing without human. And for the interface, for example, I'm doing product design and UX design. For those part, it's more like a software AI on top of it. We need like a human UX, user-centered experience, the interface, right? So for human to operate the AI. But right now, he mentioned that you can take out this part, the human part, and directly implement into you tell AI and AI start executing things like an AI agent or agentic AI. How do you see these types of technology, and do you think SaaS is dead? Because I understand that right now a lot of tech companies they are pretty much doing more like a SaaS part.
The assessment or
SaaS, software as service, more like a
oh
yeah
SaaS.
SaaS, yeah SaaS.
Right, right. Where, software as a service. Now the software is the service.
Yeah, how do you see that? For example, like agentic AI, like for example, right now, if you ask the chatbot, like the newest ChatGPT, you can just say, "Oh, buy me the groceries," and they
Right.
will start checking all the store and according to your purchase history, and they will list out and you just say okay purchase or something, you give a comment and you can skip all the doing part and AI will do it for you. How do you see these types of like so easy like a one click checkout, the types of thing you just make a comment? And for me it's more like wow, then a lot of doing part of the labor, for example like in healthcare, what do you see these types of for example monitoring? Before you need a person to do some doings, but now it's automated by AI agent. What do you see these types of transaction in healthcare?
I think that the biggest concern in healthcare is all about kind of like the black box,
Hmm.
the black box problem that we don't truly understand how these systems will make a decision,
Hmm.
right? As a matter of fact, um, when you set the systems to be more random,
Hmm.
right? They actually come out with better answers, but at the same time, right? The
Hmm.
conundrum is that when you make them more random, the less you can understand how they make the decisions or
Hmm.
if they'll make the right decisions.
Yeah.
So that is the kind of like the tension between the two. And
Hmm.
it's really important, obviously, in healthcare to be able to rely on these systems. How could the question becomes, or the problem set becomes, how could we make these systems and reliable that they will make the right decisions
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
make decisions consistently,
Hmm.
right? And and so, there's very little room for hallucinations in healthcare.
Oh, yeah.
And so that becomes the real issue,
Hmm.
right? Where, all these predictive analytics or, using computer vision to find out, where in the body there are regions of cancer or cancer cells, being able to interpret medical imaging accurately and consistently. Now, consistency is really important.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's more important than even accuracy because if you rely that on a system that it does things very consistently, even making errors consistently, then we know what to look for in terms of, checking the quality of the output,
Hmm.
right? So I think that is probably one of the larger problems that we're trying to work on um, as an industry because we see the implications of how amazing and transformative that this technology can be. It's a matter of, you know, how can we get to a point where we could rely on it, to make the right decisions and, trust it.
Mm,
I think that is the place where we really need to, everyone is focusing on and really understanding, like, you know, how does it make those decisions? Um, is a large part of solving that problem.
mm, yeah.
So, it's a long road, but I'm very optimistic. I'm very
Mm.
optimistic that we will be able to figure this out.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, I think that you are very positive of the technology, and I'm like, yeah, I feel like wow, that is very cool because you mentioned that in order to reduce the bias or hallucinations, then human need to get in or the data need to be strict so it will have more and more like a high quality of data because for healthcare there's no room for making mistakes. So I think this is a very good kind of like a way for us to understand that wow, so basically healthcare if they implement AI they will be really, really careful and supervised by human. Yeah. And yeah, another question is that what do you see like a XR, right? AR, VR to enhance the healthcare or your management or approach the data and do like, for example, how does this XR spatial technology can help pretty much healthcare management, leadership, or anything you can think of. Yeah.
Well, I mean, having kind of witnessed a lot of the implementations of these technologies, AR specifically, at Houston Methodist, they're experimenting with the use of AR to prepare for very, very difficult surgeries in
Mm,
cardiology, and being able to take a CT scan and convert it into a three-dimensional image, right? And then having surgeons being able to literally go inside the body virtually before
mm.
actually going in, and
Oh.
then visualizing, what needs to happen in
Mm,
order to have the best outcome for the patient.
mm.
Um, is a game changer, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of like a pilot going in and saying, okay, this is a target that we need to hit. We need to go through this artery. We have to be able to traverse this area. You know, we have to avoid this part of the body. We have to make sure we accurately go in here. And then, being able to communicate that, right?
Mm,
Um, in a very, very practical sense, a visual sense of imagine like, so this is how we're going to go in, guys. We're
mm,
going to go in through this opening in the body. We need to, this is where the tissue is damaged. This is how we're going to go in and repair it,
mm,
right? Um, it's so much more powerful to be able to do that visually,
mm.
right? And mapping it out. And, one of the cruxes in an effective healthcare operations and literally like a surgical operation is communicating really super accurately what is to be done and the thought process as to why,
Mm.
right? Without any ambiguity. That's the ideal. And I think that that's what AR and VR is helping to do in the healthcare space.
Yeah, yeah. I think for like a simulation or patient education, or some types of like a need some visuals because XR is all about. I remember Ori Imbar back in 2023 at AWE. He mentioned that XR is the interface of AI. So it's the visualization of how this like a interesting like a storytelling part to help people to understand and learn more. So um,
It's
uh,
probably the best disambiguation tool that there is.
hmm. Yeah, I think the tools, if you see like Orion, right, like the Meta, like the AR smart glass, AR AI glass, I would say that this is types of I can see there will be a lot of interesting medical applications. However, it's not launched yet. But if you see a lot of Chinese startups, you can see there are a lot of like a visualization. I saw a lot of AR AI glasses. For example, XReal. XReal already has some visualization, and it you can do using like a Android developer and start creating some interesting like a visualization. It's much cheaper than anything else. So I think there will be a lot of AR smart glass, and especially this year CES. I heard, I haven't been there, but I heard that a lot of people said that this year is the smart glass, AR AI smart glass year. Pretty much a lot of new glasses got released.
Oh, that's exciting. That's super exciting.
Yeah, yeah. So, what do you see the most promising use case for XR AI in the medical training or patient care or remote remote monitor like today? And what's the most promising one, and what will hold this study case back? Which means that you see the future, and also you see like something that we might need to concern.
I mean, beyond automation, you know, I think where AI is creating entirely new opportunities and capabilities is
Mm,
drug formulation,
mm,
right? Where Gen AI can create novel chemical compounds.
mm.
The whole, I mean, AlphaFold
Yeah.
is amazing, right? So, like how our body, proteins are literally kind of the mechanisms
Mm,
that are the signals in the body, from how our heart is working, how our muscles are reacting, all of these things like our immune system uh, are mediated by these molecules that we call proteins.
yeah.
So understanding how proteins are configured,
Mm,
right?
mm,
The medium for which our bodies kind of communicate how the cells should behave,
mm.
um, is a game changer.
Yeah.
I mean, we never thought that it would be possible, but
Yeah.
now that we do know, we know how these proteins fold. We can manipulate how they fold. I'm just really am excited to see what happens from here because this is where we could really truly create biologics or even small molecules to address many, many problems in the human system.
Yeah. I think for this types of like new types of emerging technology, it's really, really I would say it's exciting because before we didn't think that like doing those things like inventing a vaccine or doing something within a couple of months, right? It's impossible, but now it's all possible. And I today in our podcast we have another topic that Tim mentioned. He said he has a teenage son. He his son today or recently asked him like should I learn algebra? Because I can ask Siri and Siri will tell me answer. Should I learn all this? And he was like, yeah, yeah, should we learn it? And yeah, and recently, I saw the news like a Dodge, like a cut, is about to cut a Department of Education. I mean, I know that it's actually more like a state to fund it, the local, but a small portion part will be from the Department of Education. But it's
I it
yeah,
is important to still learn these things. I mean, I think it's even more important because understanding the mathematics
mm,
and the physics
mm,
and the chemistry behind things
mm,
is super important because the output of it is not necessarily the utility, right,
huh,
of the scientific concepts, but for the human, it is to build one's intuition,
mm,
right, of what is possible, what can happen, what things can come together to
mm,
solve a problem,
mm,
right? And then be able to use AI to get closer to what you believe the reality can be,
mm.
right? But without that intuition, you can't get there.
Yeah.
And that's the important reason why, studying these things, studying, the understanding how the math,
Mm,
understanding the physics, understanding the chemistry, understanding the biology is really
mm.
super important. That I don't think that that'll ever go away.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is that, for example, I read a news. It seems like right now there were college professor figured out that or observing that a student nowadays, even in like Ivy League universities, students cannot read a book back to back. It's like a front to back. It's like a student wasn't able to have the patience to read a long text format book. So, which also makes me feel like, wow, you see, like everything seems so easy and for higher education, when I teach students, I encourage them to use AI. But for K-12, I start thinking about, yeah, for the basic, should students still learn the basic because they can always cheat in a very quick way? How can you focus on building your structure of knowledge with the temptation of looking at or on your fingertips you can just get the answer? How can you even do? I don't know. What do you think
I
of?
kind of think it is like the opposite. So I
Mm,
think that a lot of students get lost
yeah.
or kind of give up.
Mm,
And what this AI does is like, when you run into an issue where
mm,
a concept or construct that you just cannot understand,
mm,
or something that actually has a very simple answer,
mm.
you could just request it and find that out and just get over and continue on,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
not let that little thing stop you from learning,
Yeah. Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So the inertia of just trying to figure out something or a concept that you don't understand is now gone away because now you
Yeah.
have a private tutor.
Yeah. Right.
So I think that is really super powerful,
Hmm.
really super powerful. And then, but then, the value of school and your peers and your professors are really are your coaches to keep you going,
Yeah,
right?
it's more like I read another article. It's called DJ. Teacher becomes the new DJ in the classroom. Because, for example, DJ is sensing the energy of the crowd and play different types of music to re-energize the crowd, was able to spotlight and energize the crowd. So same as teacher instead of lecturing in the classroom, now shift to like a boost the energy of student like a DJ. So I think it's very interesting. And the other thing that I study for education was more like a for a teacher who I forgot his name, but it seems like he did a reverse way of education. He pre-record all the lectures and ask students to study from home. And when come to the classroom, that everybody do an assignment. So homework become doing in class and
Right.
lecture doing at home. And was like, yeah, actually this is pretty good because when students doing the lecture, they got bored and they fall asleep. And when they go home, they don't know what to do. But now it's reverse. You can learn from an SAI, and also when going to the classroom, they can just start it to kind of engage with the classroom and ask questions. So I think this is a very interesting shift.
No, I think I think that makes a lot of sense. You do the passive learning at home where
Yeah,
it's
right.
easy. You
Yeah,
listen to the lecture, take notes, and then you go in, and then the lecture turns into to a study group, which is really cool because then you have
yeah,
to apply what you learn, and
yeah,
you know,
yeah. I think
obviously, like
this.
it's unavoidable. You're gonna have a lot of questions. You run into, a lot of kind of bumps in the road where you don't quite understand what you're doing, but then you have your peers and your professors to
Yeah.
kind of bounce questions off of to get through your problem sets. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, I think that is a very interesting approach in especially AI era. Like when students want to learn, they learn on their own. But when they have any questions, they can come to class and have the peer power to everybody help. So I think this types of reverse way of new era, I think is really, really good. So, yeah, what's your advice for the student or future leaders to be or survive in this era? For example, yeah, like for example, community college student, right? A lot of them, I know that as far as I know, last GDC I went there, and 2 years ago I went to the GDC, and I remember during that time I they have a second floor of the main hall. They have the hiring types of like a event, and I saw thousands of students graduate from game department. They brought their portfolio lined up, and every student was like they can do everything, like music, art, character design, animation, game concept, everything they can do. Some student even play violin, and it's like in front of me. It was crazy, and I was more like yeah, instead of like a applicant, I play more like a recruiter role, even though I was not even recruit anybody. So I saw there were only one or two people who actually hire people and thousands of students line up. And I can see that this types of like especially AI impacts this uh, entertainment such as game development, right? Before, for example, right now I ask my student to use like a Trillis. That is a Microsoft release open source, which if you upload a couple of image, it will assemble a 3D model for you. So I, what do you have any advice for the student? Because I find out that junior level, especially right now, is a little harder to get into the industry, right? Any junior level. Senior is more like a, I would say it's not easy for senior, but compared to the junior, it's easier, not easy. But what's your advice for the student that they have to do especially everything is relatively easy, like AI, but also those AI, well, kind of like I don't want to say take their job before they did a lot of animation 3D models, but AI can do all the skills for the company. So what's your advice for those students? I think you mute. Yeah. Still. Let me
Hello,
see.
can you hear
Yeah,
me?
yeah, yeah. I can hear you.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Hmm.
My headphones ran out of juice. But I think that the most important thing is, you know, keep doing, be curious, keep
Hmm,
doing, do a project in your field, your own project,
hmm,
right?
hmm,
Post it on GitHub
hmm,
and use AI
hmm,
as much as possible in
hmm,
your work,
hmm,
right? It's like instead of fearing AI will replace what you do,
hmm,
leverage AI to do what you do,
hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So then, number one, you'll be able to do more.
Hmm,
And number two, you understand where you fill in the gaps,
hmm.
right?
Yeah, I think I read another article. It says that AI will benefit two types of people, which means their scope of work is expanding instead of restrict to a certain area. For example, researcher and entrepreneur. Those two will benefit from AI because researcher, the more data they can get, the better their research result is. So AI benefit researcher. And same as entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs kind of concept is more like a expand. For
Right.
example, how can I scale or how can I expand for more resource, for more data? It's always more and more, and there's no boundary. So
Right.
I think these types of mindset or job duty, just like you said, that do your own project. It's more like a entrepreneurship, right? You are the project owner, right? So I think those part will really help student, for example, just create a project, upload to GitHub, and use AI and to expand and to see how good you can create. I think those will be always, yeah. So that's why I think sometimes we will think that, oh, we are, like there are a lot of people will get released. As far as I know, Meta is another Hunger Game, and the result will be on Monday. You will see a lot of people released from the big company, and for me, it's more like a wow. And you see Amazon, Microsoft, Google, they just keep releasing tons of people, right? And all those people are also skillful. So I think maybe, create your own project and just do your best and see if there's any way either become your I usually said that do your project. The good thing is that if it is kind of marketable or it can turn to business, you are an entrepreneur, right? Congratulations. If not, it can go to your portfolio. it
Keep
can
working on
turn.
your portfolio. Be active,
Yeah, yeah.
get
So,
into user groups,
hmm,
develop something that you could find passion in, and
yeah.
just
Hmm.
do.
Yeah, I think just execute, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes we think too much and we don't do anything, and it just time just pass. So I also, yeah, highly recommend people who just start something, start working on something. I think that's a great advice. And also, um, um, like what's your, for example, like last thing you want to mention that we didn't cover during our our meeting, like what's the last thing you want to mention to our audience?
At the end of the day, it really is about knowing people, working with people, right? And so the good news is with all of this technology, communication, and joining groups with like-minded people who are interested in the same things that you are interested in,
Yeah.
and places of like learning, like online courses. I've never been so inexpensive, never been so accessible than ever.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, and it's really this whole new realm of intelligence and AI favors those who are curious and favors those who are creators.
It's very interesting to see like you see I feel like it's like a renaissance
Yeah, so
before.
you have to you
Yeah.
just yeah, so don't rely on of course, you need to work on things that people will pay you for, but after that, it's all about like can you produce something, and producing something, it could be anything, right? That you're interested in. Just keep doing it and become that expert.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
key.
Yeah, I think like our previous podcast with Tim mentioned that, oh, what what you do outside of your work, of your project, because he mentioned that his daughter or his son that have a portfolio class that students just keep asking like a teacher like what can they do to get a job, and the professor just mentioned that what you do outside of your school project will get you jobs.
Right.
So yeah, so for me, I was thinking of the same thing. So that's why I have like a podcast or a lot of other things on Saturday, Sunday going on. It's just like I think the reason why we are being human in this era, since just like you said, all the knowledge got released and almost free. I feel like the education is right now. You can use ChatGPT or DeepSeek to self-educate any knowledge, right? And also, yeah, it's not limited to school, and also everybody can start something. And with the help of AI, it can instantly become something that can be a small prototype. So yeah, so I do think that this is a exciting era. It's just the matter, and just like you said, the this era favors people with curiosity, always wanna create something, and our previous generation or like the mindset is more like um, like an industry mindset. We are a product, and everybody is a small gears, right? And we just do what's being expected and do high quality of that little tiny things. But now I think we are more like a generalist, like a just like you can do the entire whole pipeline of a product, so you can deeply understand. While managing people, you can know exactly talk to the same language and know what to do and expect, instead of just having one line of single knowledge. So yeah, so I think thanks to AI to release all the precious knowledge, but also I know there are a lot of things to concern. Yeah.
What I will say in closing is um, what you do defines who you are, right? So start doing the things that you want to be defined as, and then applying for a job is just literally figuring out how you can get paid for who you are.
Yeah, I think that's so true because sometimes, like we are who we are, right? And for jobs, right? They are seeking for people like-minded, or, the vibe is the same. So for us, we wish we can get the job that we got paid who we are. And also we just see if there's a good match, right? So I think just echoing what you said, that in this era, we need to stay curious, be to create your own project, and just keep learning and utilize AI as much as we can.
Well said.
Cool. Yeah. And that's it for this episode. Thank you for listening. We release episodes weekly. If you enjoy this conversation, check out our other episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Support us by giving us a follow and 5-star rating, or subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Thank you, and I will see you next time.
Thank you.